Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Strap in and strap on.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content. It's all vibes and no facts.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
We might still spoil you.
I was thinking about The Princess Bride, where he's like, your wish is my command.
I don't remember that part. I was thinking, my name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die.
You don't remember the your wish is my command? That's the whole premise of Princess Bride.
I don't feel like that's the entire premise of Princess Bride. Your wish is my command, that's what he says to her? Remind me. I do vaguely remember him saying, your wish is my command. But I feel like that's also a genie thing. Right.
Have I been saying Princess Diaries, or am I actually saying Princess Bride?
I'm pretty sure you're saying Princess Bride.
Okay, good.
That's where my head's at anyway.
You don't remember this?
I do remember this, but the line you said, it wasn't the biggest part of this, I think.
Okay,
You're
so
right.
I was close. He just says, as you wish.
You're right. It's a major plot point that I completely forgot. I mostly think about the mole that moves around on the king's face, Andre the Giant.
Princess Bride was my favorite growing up.
It's a good movie.
And I think Xaden's going to be working into this right now. I thought it was your wish is my command type of thing, but I'm going to stick with
It's a
it.
genie. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that's just what genies say.
But I think Xaden's going to work into getting his control back and reacting that way for Violet on her command.
Okay, when that happens, Shaggy and Sting have a song called Get My Baby Back. That would be perfect for that. Play it for me for just a second. Gotta get back my baby. That's what it is. It's also about him cheating on her, so it's not perfect.
That song is more fitting for Halden.
It's more fitting for Xaden and Sigale.
Oh, but he messes around.
Yeah, he draws from the source instead of Sigale. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is disturbingly perfect for
Right.
Xaden and Sigale. Oh,
Wouldn't that be cool?
it's not cool. This is a heartbreaking story now. This is a ridiculous song reference, and it's making me sad. This is not a sad song.
Well, it is a sad song. In the same way that all Shaggy's songs are sad about him fucking around and finding out. But whatever. Noah Khan has a sweet song for later on.
And see, I thought I had something with Princess Bride.
You do. The Princess Bride thing was great. I think it's more like your wish fulfillment going on, but sure.
But part of what makes him so charming is the devotion which Xaden has.
I agree. I think Xaden is so devoted. I like Xaden in this book.
You've had a real turnaround.
Like I said, I prefer Xaden in this book to Xaden in the other books. Partially because I don't think he's being an asshole keeping secrets from Violet.
He's not, yeah.
He's a very different character in this book than he was in the other two.
He's like, I will die and kill for you.
Well, he's been that way the whole time. That is not something new. The difference is now he's like, I'm also being pretty honest with you.
But he's very scared of losing her and realized the stakes of, well, lying to protect you, that clearly wasn't working, so I'm not going to lie.
I think the difference is he doesn't trust himself now.
Yeah.
And I think that is the big game changer here.
She even described the look in his eyes in chapter 27 as, I don't even know, how did she describe his eyes?
Oh, is this when they're amber? I think we should hit 26 real quick. I just want to go back to it. It's so cool.
Violet tells Tairn not to overreact, and he's offended. Then Violet slices the knee tendons of a guard. The conduit breaks, and Violet gets hit. And that's when Xaden looks feral almost. And he turns and he says, they're all fucking dead. And she sees rage she's never seen before.
Yeah, now I am trying to remember how this works.
And it turns out he ended up using the alloy from the conduit. I have the note. Xaden's actually a little scary in this one.
Yeah, you don't immediately know what he's done. She says, very thin shadows. And boom, he just murders all 12 guards. And all of a sudden, the king's like, the fuck did you do? You're done now, motherfucker. And she's like, Xaden, chill out. Just hide your eyes. Put your head down. And Andarna, this is why we kept going back, is all of a sudden the king's like, oh no, my cat. And you're like, oh no, what happened to the cat? Did Violet stab the cat? And I'm like, I don't know what happened. Maybe she has a knife on the cat now. We don't know what's happened at this point. And then she's like, Andarna is carefully holding the cat by the throat, just ready to murder it. But she's curled her lips in so she's not slobbering on it so much, which is really cute and nice of her. And then Violet has the most badass monologue.
Not only just a badass monologue, but Xaden doing as he's told. I found that badass. All of these men are silent and listening and doing as she says.
I will admit I saw this a little differently for why Xaden was so submissive in this moment. And that is he's mostly broken. And it's grief. It's not that she's commanding him and he is obedient so much as he feels broken. He doesn't regret what he did, but he regrets having to do what he did do.
I think that's what he says. She sends him off and he walks away and he says, I'm sorry, but I'm not. Like,
He says, I'm not sorry for what I did.
It was kind of silly. It was like I'm sorry for taking it, like, for all that just happened and making this worse for you. But then he's like, but I'm not sorry that I did this for you.
Yeah, which, two negatives, right? It kind of canceled out. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't think Xaden was doing this out of pure obedience. I think Xaden was doing this because he feels broken.
Yeah.
But, ignoring Xaden's bullshit for a minute, Violet's moment.
She's such a badass in this book.
Dude,
Oh my God.
Specifically right here, this is my favorite Violet moment ever.
Compared to the one when she was in front of the nobles telling them this is how this mission is going to go?
Yeah, this is better. Because she comes off like a villain.
Oh.
She's literally blackmailing the dude with the life of his cat. Like, she's like, oh, I know you love your cat. I too have a young one. Isn't she adorable? Also raised her from birth. Well, Tairn and Sigale raised her, but she and I have been pretty close. And it was just so beautifully done. It's like, oh, her jaw's probably getting real tired over there. She's going to have to close it pretty quick. I suggest you make this deal. And the king kind of respects her and is also just fucking terrified in this moment. He's like, do you know what the fuck you're doing? She's like, oh, baby, I do know what I'm doing. Halden wakes up and he's trying to be, I don't know, the way he is, I guess is the only way to describe that. And she's like, shut the fuck up. The adults are talking. And he somewhat listens, which is awesome.
After you described him to the guy in Malibu's Most Wanted,
Yeah.
That's just how I'm picturing him. Just this whiny, scrawny little man.
Well, and that's kind of the impression you're given is he just sucks.
And even later, he tries having a pissy match with Xaden and his own brother, and he loses.
Yeah. Yeah, Aaric does a good job later on, too. I also want to change the way we say Aaric.
Aaric?
Why isn't it aaric?
Aaric. The fact you didn't know how it was spelled this whole time, did you?
Nope.
You just found out.
I saw it and I was like, aaric. Hell yeah, brother.
We've switched to calling Drake Drift King.
Yeah, DK. We got DK and aaric.
What do you think of Violet's offer to the king in Darna's shell?
So it was good. I'm going to give the king a little bit of a bonus points in this one, too. Because when she's like, a dragon shell, and he's like, oh, neat. You've seen one, you've seen them all. It's a shell of a dragon. I don't give a fuck. And she's like, not this shell. This is a cool shell. And that felt a little bit bad, because I'm like, oh, it's like Andarna's baby clothes. You know, like, you should keep them.
You would.
I would. Yeah, I know. I've done this with our children. I have boxes of stuff from when they were tiny, and I'm just like, you never know. Someday they'll have babies of their own, and maybe they'll want to look at their baby stuff, and you're like, they're never going to do this.
But you will, and you do, and it's cute.
I'll be out there collecting my grandkids' stuff. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'll be sifting through our children's trash. Be like, oh, onesie? I think so. Take that back with me and put it in my collection. I remember when I was keeping the kids' baby teeth for a while, you're like,
No.
You have to get rid of these. This is serial killer shit. I'm like, oh, I was going to like make them a necklace when they were older. And you're like, nope, still bad. Don't do it. You're a weirdo.
Our daughter had really long strands of hair. Just single long ones that you would not allow to cut because you're like, we're not ready for her first haircut. And finally it was just like, it's time.
And then you ripped it out while I was at work. I came home one
rip
day
it
and we had a
out.
cue ball there. I'll never forget, you polished her head bald. You were like, well, I was shampooing it and it all came out. And I was distraught.
She was changing from a brunette to a blonde and she lost all of her hair and you were gone for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And you were like, what the hell did you do to our daughter?
I'd like to add, I wasn't angry. I was confused and very sad.
You were like, where's the hair? Because you kept it, right?
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, I wanted you to keep it because you never know. Like when she was older, maybe she'd want proof that she had that hair. I don't know, man. I am problematic in how sentimental I am.
So even if our daughter gave you permission to sell her baby clothes, like Andarna gave Violet permission, would you do it?
No.
How did Violet get this egg?
Andarna probably brought it to her. Maybe Tairn was keeping it on him.
Also, it sounds like it was freaking huge. It could fit a dog in it.
Well, yeah. How tiny do you think a baby dragon is?
I guess
They grow to be 50 feet tall.
It's not necessarily the size of the baby dragon.
That's how you use it. Hey-o, high five.
More
Small dragon jokes.
the size of Violet's backpack that she's been carrying this whole time.
It's a magic satchel.
It's like a TARDIS.
Yeah, it's bigger on the inside. Of course. You're right. Actually, no, I've got nothing for you on this.
I wasn't prepared for
I thought
her.
it was odd, and then when she said dog, I'm like, well, maybe it's like a really small dog could fit in it. And I'm like, then why would you use the term dog? Also, we haven't met a dog yet.
Oh my god, another animal. There's dogs here.
Well, at least they're aware of their existence. Perhaps they went extinct. We don't know.
In the end, they get to use the isle as a base. And at some point in these next several chapters, it sounds like she made a deal behind her backs that we didn't see that her and Xaden need to protect the isle.
We don't know. I don't believe it's for protection. I think it's an offensive deal.
Oh, be like hitmen?
Sure.
Maybe not.
I'm assuming it would be like, hey, you guys get your superpowers and stuff all figured out. I'm going to need you guys to go kill this other leader who we don't like or convince them of something. He says he needs them for their services.
Yeah.
And we don't yet know if that is of a sexual nature. Perhaps he just wants to put on the gimp suit and sit in the corner. Imagine he and Garrick and Ridoc are just having popcorn.
Now we have a third man in this gimp suit story.
Yeah.
The only one who's not getting electrocuted is Xaden, even though I guess the gimp suit is rubber.
Yeah.
So they're safe.
Yeah. There are no holes in this story.
Zero.
Other than Violet's high five.
Zero plot holes.
Xaden's filling the plot holes, if you know what I'm saying. High five?
I was thinking more of the king probably wants another Midnight Massacre and hiring Violet and Xaden to do it.
I don't think Violet would have been like, yeah, fine, genocide, whatever. Here we go. Doesn't seem very Violet.
Well, she agreed to services. Chapter 28, we get a letter from Asher Daxton? Another Asher?
Yeah. And we're aware that eventually he becomes Colonel because there was a missive a while back from Colonel Daxton.
What if in this book men take the women's name?
Oh, that would be great. I like that. Yes.
Because what are the chances there's two Ashers?
Imagine how complicated the kingdoms would become. The king gets a consort. He used to be called King Towery. Now he's King Johnson. Same king, just really complicated record keeping.
Because the titles aren't necessarily to the firstborn son or anything son. It's based off of just literally birth order, right?
What? What are you saying?
I'm just saying that if Marin was older than Drake, she would be next in line to Takaris. And if Marin ever became queen or anything like that...
I don't think Marin's in the running.
I thought that's why Kat was third in line.
What?
No, that doesn't make sense.
Takaris is after the queen. So if the queen dies, Takaris gets it. Then it's Serena. Then Kat.
I forgot about Serena.
Marin is Kat's friend. Her brothers were killed her parents were killed in front of her twin brothers.
Who's Drake?
Drift King is their cousin. He's just a mighty warrior cousin.
Oh, I need a family lineage in the back of these books.
You know what we should do? At some point, we should make a little tree of dragons, people, how they're all connected, and we'll put it up here on the back wall. so we could reference it as we go through.
If you're the one that puts in the effort, I have no doubt it's going to be all nicknames and references and music associations also as part of their...
Who was the curvy redhead? Teacher, question mark?
I didn't even write down what this letter was about. I just wrote down Asher Daxton.
Yes, that's fair. We don't actually even give a shit what it was about.
Back in Battle Brief, they have new fliers from other location. Don't know the name of it.
What other location? What do you mean?
It's like the most northern province of Poromil.
Oh, Signeson.
Yeah, Signeson flyers show up. Violet is worried about Xaden, and she says something about how the Isles weren't safe for Xaden. And Tairn adds, maybe the Isles weren't safe from Xaden. He throws a lot of shade towards Xaden being the Dark One.
Xaden disrespected his lady. It makes sense. Imagine he was all buddy-buddy with Xaden, and Xaden fucked around. Like, I don't know. I'm with Tairn on this one.
After you pointed out the giving power, that makes a lot of sense. Sigale has offered and give all that she could give to Xaden, and it wasn't enough. That would be hurtful. And it also makes sense why Venin is not natural to take from the earth, and that the earth probably naturally gives to the dragons.
They're thieves of nature.
Yes. Yeah. I hope that's how it goes. That's what I'm going to stick with for now. Ridoc is flirty with a new flyer and brags about being on Quest Squad.
Okay, so he brings up Quest Squad, and then the guy's like, I don't associate with second years. And he's like, good thing I fucked like a third year. Like, you have 10 more months of fucking experience? What the hell? Come on, man. I like that Ridoc was pursuing this. I didn't realize Ridoc is bisexual.
Yeah, he goes both ways. And that
he goes
is
every way.
Yeah.
Whatever ways there are to be going.
He's just a huge flirt.
Well, he's a fuckboy.
Yeah.
He's not just flirting. I like to flirt with people. I don't fuck them.
But you do flirt with everyone.
I flirt with people a lot. Man, woman, and child. Not child. Child is the problem. God damn it. I heard it come out of my mouth. I couldn't stop it before it came out of my mouth.
It's like Michael Scott. I love little kids.
No, it isn't. That gets cut. God damn. Man or woman, young or old is what I was going for. And instead I said man, woman, and child because it rolls off the tongue.
I will cut it. Just, you can redo your joke.
God damn. That's so rough. No, I like to flirt with everybody. Man, woman, young, old, not too young. God damn it.
You don't like young people. You're like at your age and older. And your favorite are old ladies.
Yeah. Ideally, old ladies or men age about 50 to 90 years old. It's really funny, too. Because they hate it.
They like being gassed up a little bit, but then they start getting uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, what you do is you start off real slow. You're like, man, you're kind of a tough dude, aren't you? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, if I was 30 years older. You're like, wait a minute. And you're just going to keep inching a little closer and a little closer to whatever their comfort zone line is. And then you gently walk past it. And you wait until they get very angry. There's a guy whose house I'm working on in his mid-50s. Lovely dude. I adore the guy. But he does not appreciate these jokes when I kind of hit on him a little bit. And his wife thinks it's really funny. I gave him a tape measure the other day, and I wrote on it a little love note. And I just left it there for him to find.
But yeah, he also really appreciated getting the gift, but...
I don't even think he liked the tape measure that much.
Oh.
I think that note may have ruined the tape measure.
Oh.
He's like, God damn, I'm never going to use this.
But I realized this is how I've been viewing Imogen also. I thought she just swings both ways and he just there for a good time.
Imogen likes Pole.
She is pining after Garrick a lot more than I realized.
Well, she's pining after Garrick more in this book than she actually was in the other books.
She's very quiet about it. We only know what we know now because everyone is acknowledging it and being quiet about it, and especially Ridoc.
This book is solving a problem I've had with the other two, where there was a lot of tell, don't show in the other books about other characters. And in this book, it's a lot of show. I like that.
Other than with Imogen, I'm still not seeing it other than she's quiet and doesn't want to talk about it. And she's just keeping to herself. And that does fit her personality. But I've been putting her in a box, a very big open box. And it turns out she has a very tiny
box. She has a tiny box.
Tiny box of interest for just Garrick.
You said you've been putting her in a big box.
In a big box.
And now you're like, actually, she's got a tiny box. Maybe that's the problem.
I'm really good at telling stories, turns out.
Garrick's got a massive hog and she's got a tiny box and it's just not going to work. The pieces don't fit.
I don't think he succeeds with the flyer, at least in this scene, but he is laying down the groundwork. Deverelli wants Xaden and Violet to protect them. Question mark? I think we landed on services.
Yeah, we don't know if it's protection.
Venin are prepared for Aretian wards because they're back in battle class, or they're back in battle brief. I didn't even say that. They're back
in battle class.
They're in Besgaiath. Xaden is not there.
Xaden is a Besgaiath.
Oh, I thought he's been in Aratia for the last week.
Oh, maybe. How the fuck is he getting this much leave as a teacher? A first-year teacher, I might add. He's got a lot of latitude.
He's still a noble.
Not while he's at college.
And he's got business to do.
Oh, okay.
And Devera puts Violet on the spot of,
Put Devera on a spot.
And Violet says that the Aretian wards are about to fall and the Venin clearly seem prepared for this. How do they know this? We don't know. Violet starts to wonder if Xaden is an Asim due to giving in again. And I have the question, has Violet really never drawn from the conduit she uses? Nope, she doesn't. Mira is off on personal leave for the first time. After we finish this set of chapters, I was thinking more about Mira. What is her mission? What is her purpose? Kind of like what that old lady was saying. It made me think of the movie that our daughter described to us, My Sister's Keeper.
This is the one where the kid's got cancer and they try to trade one kid for the other kid?
Yeah, the second one was born to be parts.
It's a parts kid, yeah.
Yeah. And what a horrible life that is. I've never seen it. I only got a retelling from a 13-year-old girl's perspective where she was
pretty fucked up, though.
Where she admits, she's like, hey, guys, I watched a movie without permission. We're like, oh, what movie? Thanks for being honest. And she chose to watch a devastatingly sad movie that made her cry herself to sleep.
Sometimes people just want to feel something.
And she felt something. She was like, guys, the only reason I'm admitting this is because I am not all here today. My head is somewhere else. I need to talk about it. But it made me think of Mira. It's Mira in this aspect of you're here to protect your sister. You are a ward. It was just sad if that ends up being Mira's purpose is to protect Violet.
Is it? That isn't Mira's purpose. Your parents don't determine your purpose.
I know that, but from Mira's perspective of what have they been training me for?
Mira, you're 30 and have survived war. This is where I love Mira. Through every book, I've loved Mira as a character. I think this is where it's necessary for Mira to have this growth arc where she realizes that your purpose is not a singular thing that you do, right? And it is determined by you.
Well, what do you think about how she's feeling after everything that she has experienced and then seeing this piece of your dad giving this beautiful gift to your sister?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I think she should be hurt. I'm not suggesting that she is going through things currently unreasonably. I'm suggesting that she's incorrect for feeling the way she's feeling.
Do you think she's going to be a villain because of it?
No, there's no way. If Mira turns into a villain, things went real wrong. God damn it. If Mira turns into a villain, now you got me thinking about that. It would be an arc for sure. But no, she and Mira's relationship gets strained. And then Violet's life starts falling apart elsewhere, and then Mira comes and helps scoop up the broken pieces, probably when Xaden goes to peace out, when he eventually turns to Venin to be there.
Right.
Mira is going to be like, hey, I'm here for you. We're always us. Don't worry about it. And we're going to learn that Violet is only a half-sibling.
There is something about that.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that I think Mira got the tea from Grandma.
Yeah, I think so too. And also, why the fuck isn't Mira sharing? She's like, Violet, you got to go talk to her yourself. And Violet's like, okay. Well, Violet is bad at conversation. When things get tense, Violet is bad at that.
Well, she was like a awkward duck. Like, do you want to read Dad's books that he wrote specifically to me? They're kind of like about birds and migration. And Mira's like, no.
Why would I want to know any of that? Is what she says.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mira is being kind of an asshole, and Violet is being over the top with trying to engage. She's not good at giving people the space they are asking for.
No, or reading cues, because she seemed to keep talking to Mira to get more information out of Mira that Mira just said, no, you're going to have to go see Grandma yourself. And Violet's like, I don't even know this woman. But I find it really fascinating of what stage Mira is at to go talk to family that has been disowned.
I think she looked at it and said, who the fuck cares? Why did they disown Grandma? Because Mira was quite a bit older than Violet. If Violet was a toddler, so she would have been like 2, 3 years old.
She would have had a relationship with this grandma.
Right. That means Mira would have been like 10. So at this point, yeah, I think it's fair. Mira's like, hey, both of our parents are dead. Who's left? Other grandma? No, she's also in the ground. Goddamn, everybody's dead except for this lady. Maybe I should go talk to her if I want to know what's up. It seems like the best course of action.
What are your theories about Grandma?
I think that is her dad's mom.
Correct?
Oh, we know that definitively?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I think that's her dad's mom that is not actually Violet's grandma. I think Violet's grandma saw Violet's hair and knows that she belongs to this other tribe of the Dune worshippers. And then her grandma's like, what the fuck, Lilith? And Dad's like, no, she fucked somebody else for science. It's not what you think. And his mom wouldn't listen to him. And she's like, I don't understand this new age relationship stuff you guys are doing. And the dad's like, if you can't accept her as our daughter, then we don't love you anymore. And she's like, get out of here. You're disinherited. That's what I think gotta happen. Do I think that happened? No. Would it be cool if it is? Yeah.
Well, from this last old lady that we meet with a tattoo.
We can't discuss her yet.
Well, we're
close.
A teeny little moment of just discussing. Yeah. She says something about a partial that they didn't complete.
The ritual.
Violet's full dedication, or like, we didn't finish your dedication.
They don't complete their dedication. It isn't that they didn't. It's they don't until that person chooses.
And we see one little girl who has hair exactly like Violet.
Yeah, it's not all silver yet. I think you're right. I think they were just looking to treat their sick little girl. And they're like, well, to keep her safe, what are we going to do? Devote her to the god of war.
Whoa. Okay. Not an affair. God damn it. I was really hoping we would see her dad. Like, actually, I'm your bio dad.
No. I threw that out there as a theory because it would be fun.
But yeah.
But I don't think that's it.
Oh. Maybe them traveling and her dad's writing all of these with Lilith when she's pregnant, searching for a cure for her pregnancy. And this
cure for her pregnancy?
No.
Okay. She's like, abortion's not legal in Navarre. We got to go to the Isles. Her dad's like, I guess I'll give you a ride. I know just the place. Don't tell him you're pregnant, get in a fight. It'll take care of itself. No.
Ryan.
She was Spartan kicked.
Ryan, stop. I was getting at she was sick and not doing well and she was going to lose Violet. So they're looking for a way to save Violet. And when Violet was a couple years old is when Grandma realized what they did.
Yeah. Imagine if they had gone so far as to get her a tattoo on the forehead. Wouldn't have taken Grandma any time at all. Like, why's that baby tatted up? She's like, well, we thought it'd make her look a little more intimidating to the other toddlers. She got a teardrop and a Dune rune on her forehead? What the fuck? Yeah, she's doing prison time. Playgrounds, mean streets.
We got ahead of ourselves here. We need to get back to chapter 28.
That's what I keep saying.
Mira is on leave for the first time.
Did you think that she was going to go see somebody, or did you think she was going to fuck what's his name? Took a little vacay, and she was like, I've been fucking him the whole time, but we had to make it look good in front of other people. Sorry about kneeing you in the ball sack.
We watched a movie where there was that relationship that they were always outwardly hated each other, and then we found out they were banging.
I feel like that's a lot of movies.
Why is there one semi-recent, though?
Oh, I don't remember that. But I think it's a big trope of like, we're fighting, and then somebody opens a closet door, and they're just balls deep, and you're like, oh, I thought you hated each other, and they're like, you don't have to like each other to fuck.
I didn't have any thoughts. I think I thought she was sulking.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't sound like Mira.
But it kind of was sort of what she was doing.
But going to see family to get answers.
All right, fair. I like where your head's at.
The end of chapter 28 is pretty long. I condensed it into everyone's reading books during signet class. Violet openly asked Bodhi about a second signet. I don't know where that went. It sounded like, yes, he does have one, but he won't talk about it. He says, if I say it, do I get to go on quest squad?
Bodhi doesn't know about Xaden's second signet. As of Iron Flame, Bodhi did not know that Xaden was intrinsic. So when Bodhi says, no, just like Xaden, I don't have a second one, just one really powerful one, I think Bodhi believes it to mean that he does not have a second signet.
The betrayal of feeling like he's not excluded because him and Xaden are similar in their signets. Everyone gets a second one except for you, and then you find out that your best friend.
But I think Bodhi does actually have a second signet, and he's just not telling Violet what it is.
How ominous. We learn Sloane isn't training her signet. She still feels a lot of guilt over it. I think it's going to be very important for her to use it again, and it's going to be devastating. But like Violet with her lightning, it is a weapon. It is excessive, and Violet's learning how to hone it in. Sloane used her signet to kill people.
Oh, I am so ready to blow your mind.
Oh, goodness, what is this?
What do you think Sloane's second signet is?
I didn't even think about that. Sloane has one.
So, Sloane's first signet is probably going to be the one that she looks at with animosity initially. She's going to get a second signet and train that one. And I wonder if it won't be mending. For her mental health, that would be so perfect. She has one signet that she sees as issuing death and one signet that she sees as providing life.
That would be so amazing if she became a mender.
She could do both, yeah. Wouldn't that be neat?
That would be.
Listen up, Rebecca. Old Beckyar.
Aaric shows up, and Aaric...
Aaric. Aaric.
Shows up and asks about Halden, and Violet gives him the details, like, your brother's your brother. He acted exactly as you expected.
She doesn't even give him details. She's like, how do you think it went? That's exactly how it went. Your brother's a goddamn child. He's like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
Then Xaden shows up, and he finishes her thought again.
Yeah, and again, she is not looking at this as though, maybe it's me, Jesus.
No, I think in this moment is when she was feeling like melting into his bond. Because he's been blocking her, her desire to be close to that bond is even stronger. It is her, but he's kind of putting up with being blamed for it. I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, I think he's just not pushing buttons.
Maybe he's not putting up with it, but it's adding to his fear of himself.
Yeah, things are evolving. Remember, his shadows evolved. That means his other signet is also evolved and more powerful. So he may also believe that maybe he is doing this.
Did he kiss her in this moment, Professor Xaden?
I think he did kiss her, and then she's like, let's go fuck. And he's like, no, we shan't do that here. Now, we're in Besgaiath. Back away, Jezebel.
And puts on his teacher hat.
Yes. Takes off his big shadow dickin' hat, which is a cowboy hat. And then he puts on a little hat with a propeller on it for his teacher hat.
Oh my God. What else did you get from this scene during all of their talk?
That all of a sudden Violet is the one that's like, fuck it, I'll fuck the professor in front of everybody. And Xaden all of a sudden is the one that's like, no, we have to follow rules now. And she looks into his eyes and she's heartbroken because what used to be gold flecks in his onyx eyes are now amber. She's like, oh no, how many more times can he possibly cheat this before he's a full-on Asim?
Yeah.
Which, is also what he's thinking. He's like, well, I don't know how lucky I got on this one. I think the other thing that may be happening with Xaden, why his shields and stuff are a little lower with her right now, may have to do with his lack of control.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
And remember, when his shields are up, she also cannot communicate with Sigale. Or I guess Sigale doesn't talk directly. No, Sigale does talk directly to Violet.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think about him lowering his shields as a form of him losing control because he would want to keep them up.
I think he sees it more like he's bargaining with himself, right? It's one of the stages of grief, is bargaining. And I think that's kind of where he's at with it.
How sad.
It'll be okay. He's got a lot of plot armor.
Everybody is planning for their search of the Isles without returning. Oh, and I think they eventually land on...
Treason again.
Treason.
They go right back to treason right away.
Cat has a little sound thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
A deafening disc.
Yeah.
Cone of silence.
Violet says one treasonous thing and she's like, boop, we're turning that on.
She's like, God damn it, Sorengale. You can't be this bad at espionage.
She just always has one because Violet just says shit all the time. Need this now.
Funny.
And they land on, let's just not come back. We won't come back until we succeed. And what are they going to do? Punish us when we come back with the 7th breed? No.
So far, what they've learned is they can do whatever they want as long as they do it successfully.
They're not wrong.
And that's what I mean. So far, they've learned it. It's not an assumption.
Then Bodhi comes up to Violet. He seems a little scared of Xaden or something. He's very cautious and gives her the serum and the antidote.
That she asked for.
Correct.
And she's like, don't worry, I'm not going to use it on him. And he's like, I'm just so happy that you see that you might have to. Which is really a Xaden-like take. Bodhi and Xaden are close.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those moments where you're like, man, Bodhi's a good dude. Because this has got to be so hard for him. But part of him supporting Violet has to do with how much he knows that his best friend and cousin values her.
Wow. I never really considered Bodhi that much until we started talking.
He's amazing. He's not ever present, but he's also the guy that's going to run Tyrandor for the next book, I think.
Oh.
Yes?
You think that?
Yeah.
No.
I think Xaden's going to go MIA because he's going to have to draw from the source to protect Violet again. And then he disappears. Bodhi will handle it in his stead.
Oh my God. If Bodhi is actually going to become the king of Tyrandor,
Duke.
the Duke of Tyrandor, like Xaden, would that mean that Violet's dream is actually...
Cat and Bodhi. I'll do you one better. Wouldn't Cat and Aaric work out in its own way? She wants a crown. Tyrandor doesn't get a crown. Aaric's going to have to be the king. And Aaric seems also incredibly secretive. Sorry, aaric. I keep fucking that up.
I'm having a moment. I never even considered Cat is crown hungry. She would go after Bodhi if she thought Bodhi had a chance.
But Bodhi wouldn't fuck her. He's not getting Xaden's leftovers.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's got to be aaric.
But I was thinking of the dream that Violet had where she turns and says, you're the next queen of Tyrandor.
Yeah, I think all that conversation happened while Violet was meeting T. That's been there and gone.
Oh.
That's just her friend trying to support her, if that makes sense, I think.
We still think that might have been Marin's dream?
Yeah, I think that was from Marin's perspective, yeah. She said, my family. Pictures of my family are up on the walls, burning.
Okay.
I don't think Violet has a lot of family photos on the walls.
All right. Well, well, poor Traeger, I guess.
Is it, though? I mean, Traeger could also be involved in this. We don't know what Traeger's doing.
End of chapter 28. Do you remember it?
Yeah, they're in the field, prepping to go.
No.
Nope.
They are in signet class, and Professor Carr is out there allowing a fire wielder to push limits of killing cadets. And that's where I think Garrick is challenging Carr, and Carr puts him in his place. Like, you're just a substitute teacher right now. Mind your place.
He said having powerful friends does not make you an expert at combat.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking cold move and also so true.
That's the scene.
Carr is also trying to inspire somebody whose signet hasn't popped up yet to channel. And the person gets so overwhelmed, they start channeling from the source. They become Venin. And immediately, Violet draws a dagger, right? They're ready to just put this fucker down right now. Why?
I didn't think Violet did it.
Violet drew a dagger.
Oh, she
didn't kill him, but she was ready to. And I'm like, this motherfucker just began to draw from the source. If we've learned anything from our interactions with Xaden is they don't immediately go evil. I think we could have offered this person the same respect we're giving the other Venin.
Pancheck tells Carr.
Carr's already on the way, too.
Stabs her. Takes her out immediately.
Yeah, just murked on the mat.
And Bodhi says that Violet should take Garrick. And that is the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
Because he's close with Xaden?
Because he's an incredibly capable fighter. Close with Xaden in case something were to happen. He thinks Garrick could be the one to kill Xaden. If it were to happen, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think he thinks Violet is capable, power-wise, of doing it, but not capable mentally yet.
That she won't do it.
Mm-hmm. Which is probably true.
Chapter 29. She's increased the size of the squad. Xaden embarrasses Halden and tells him to go scurry back to his basket.
It makes me think of a little tricycle basket, on front of little bikes. Get back to your basket there, you little bitch.
I even think Aaric brings up the basket too.
Aaric.
Okay. Dane is missing. They're all getting together, trying to get things sorted. Xaden and Halden have their little moment in spat of who's the more prince of a prince.
I took this as the prince at first was really wound up that his brother was there the whole time.
After that, that's when Dane shows up. His dragon lands and Aaric shows up.
Aaric.
And they then have their pissing match of, no, I'm going to be the one that represents Navarre, not you.
Right. I think it's less about who gets to represent Navarre and more about who is actually benefiting this mission. And it was awesome. Halden is like, we checked the whorehouses and all the places that you could have been. And Aaric's like, no, you checked all the places you could have been, not me, you fucking idiot.
What do you think about sending a first year who hasn't manifested a signet yet?
It's foolish. That's it. It's foolish. It's crazy. You haven't manifested your signet yet. You're going to send them somewhere with no magic. So then when they get the flood of magic back to them, it's going to be different. I don't know. I think it's foolish, but it makes sense. If you have to choose between Aaric and Halden, you bring Aaric 1,000%. Now, why has nobody just murdered Halden yet? I don't know.
Not that level of treason.
Well, Xaden did it.
Oh, yeah, Halden doesn't know who did that yet.
No, he doesn't. And he's never going to know. He'll be dead before he finds out. Or he'll be dead shortly after he finds out.
That happens. They leave for Deverelli. They learn that some runes work off-continent. Mira's not talking. She's just silent and quiet. And Tairn shares his story of lineage. You had a moment when you heard this.
I am not ready for him to go away. Why else is he giving her the whole story for 8 hours of the very first black dragon all the way up through who he is now? Well, basically through the first one that bonded a person.
Yeah, because after the humans were bonded, there's really no point in sharing the story or something like that.
Yeah, it quits being interesting when we start interacting too much with you guys. But it's so cool. Like, a part of it reminded me of people who have done that, just as it happens as you're growing up, your grandparents or whomever. And I'm like, man, those are such fond memories. And I think now I really correlate that to death. And I'm worried that that's the intention.
It did sound a touch of foreshadowing.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to make me feel better. What are you doing? Don't kick me while I'm down.
I did make you feel better last night, but I don't remember what I said.
You said, here, hold a boob.
No.
You could have, and it would have helped.
What did I say? There was something about...
You said nobody was crying when you saw somebody's silent reaction to reading the end of the book.
That is what I said. Yeah, nobody is crying.
I refuse to look at anybody who's read this book all the way through yet. I'm not going to look at them in the eyes. I don't want to talk to them. I continue to be removed from society until I've finished this book. But what if there's some cold-hearted motherfuckers out there? You didn't cry when Liam died.
I would cry when Tairn dies.
Yeah,
though.
You would, and I would, but we don't know what sort of sickos are reading this book and posting it online already.
I haven't seen anything about people DNFing the book yet. And there would be people just like you who would DNF if Tairn dies.
I think most of us. That's true. We would see the smoke from all the fire, from the thousands of us burning this book. I'm not even joking. I will
It's
riot.
not going to happen.
I will start a riot. Not a riot of dragons, like a riot in the streets. One of the ones where we burn shit and loot places, like Barnes and Noble. I am not ready. I'm not emotionally mature enough for this book. Why'd you make me think about that?
They make their flight, though, and Darna is cute. She keeps trying to fly on her own.
She does well for quite a while.
And without magic, you can see a little bit more of her wing struggling.
Her left wing.
Yeah.
You see the tendons moving.
But they make it. They make it to the Isle of Dune.
Yes.
They land in an opening. The location is described
In a field.
In a big field.
They land in an opening is a crazy sentence.
But they're also kind of in a jungle area, so I didn't understand how there was a field.
Okay, when we go snowmobiling, do you like being in the trees or do you like being in the meadow?
But I didn't think jungles had meadows.
It's not like jungle. If there's trees and fauna, but I think it's kind of like Vietnam, where it's heavily jungled, and then there are obviously meadows and areas where trees aren't.
Okay, and it's really hot there too.
Mm-hmm.
She knows that Mira has a bracelet, and she had a smell of parchment. That was an odd detail.
I'm starting to wonder if that's the old people's smell of this world. Like, oh, neat bracelet. What happened? She's like, I went and saw Grandma, and she gave me this cute bracelet. So I'm assuming it's like a protection thing, is what I think it's going to be.
Oh.
I think it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a rosary almost.
I was thinking that it was a small form of Violet using her second signet unknowingly, that she was accessing Mira's memories or something of Mira's, and that her grandma's house smells like parchment.
Yeah, which is old people smell for them. They've covered the couches in parchment. You don't think so?
I think you're right, and that's disturbing.
I mean, for us, it's cellophane and hairspray, and for them, it's parchment.
Oh, Brie. Then Mira went to see Grandma, who left after seeing Violet's hair. We talked about that already.
She didn't leave. You keep putting this on Grandma. Grandma did not leave them. They left Grandma. This is an important distinction.
It seems to be a distinction that Mira clarified. Violet was under the impression Grandma left. And then Mira clarifies, well, according to Grandma, Mom and Dad left.
Yes.
End of chapter 29, they start to fall asleep and they are woken up by a man telling them that their magic is useless and they don't belong here.
Violet also has kind of a racist moment here.
How so?
She says they all look the same.
Oh.
She's like, I don't know, they all look the same to me.
When she described that, they're like all the same build, the same height, the same facial structure, the same everything. I thought they were clones.
You did, and I thought that was awesome. Like, these are all the same person, aren't they? And I'm like, what the hell? You're like, I think it's clones.
It's the Clone Wars, but with
Star
dragons.
Wars. Issue Order 36 or whatever it was. Order 66?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They're like, kill the children, or whatever.
Chapter 30, there's an excerpt about it's better to shun all of the gods than to favor one. I don't know what meaning that has. I think it has something to do with this island. I thought it had to do with Biscayeth because...
Adri, the isle is called Dune.
Yeah, but why is it better to shun them all than just...
She said because they're jealous. The gods are a jealous group of people or beings. So if the only one you care about is war, what about health or luck or death and these other gods that purvey over these other areas of life?
Sounds like this island's been flourishing.
Doesn't it?
I don't know.
Doesn't seem that way to me. They seem very militant.
What do you think about the soldiers sneaking up on them? Were they a trap? I think Violet says that they were a trap on purpose. It kind of sucks being here being bait.
Maybe.
I don't think they were snuck up on. I think they were intentionally trying to bait the soldiers to find them because they didn't know where to go.
Well, I think if they would have tried to have just entered, they would have been shot on sight versus being brought in later.
And I think this man gets murdered later. They're like, you brought them to us? Die.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's a very militant society.
There's many soldiers. Someone pisses off tairn or tries to go after Violet, and he roars, scares the shit out of him. Actually, he literally makes somebody pee.
And it's not... Oh, yeah. Yep, you're right. I was thinking of when they landed, he did a grumble, not so loud as to attract attention, just loud enough to let every other predator know that they're not king of the jungle.
He did this earlier also when the panther showed up and the king is trying to threaten Violet. And she's like, I'm not scared. There's a rumble going on. And it's tairn just saying like, don't forget about me. Like I'm over here type of thing. And yeah, that's right. He does land in this meadow and growls. And she's like, yeah, no, they all know you're top of the food chain.
Yeah. Imagine how much harder that makes hunting. Like, they go to go find food later and tairn scared them all to the other side of the island.
She mentions that nobody here has seen dragons.
Correct.
That seems weird.
Why? Why would dragons be there? There's no magic. It's painful for them to be there. I feel like...
I guess there's a lot of animals we would never see without the internet.
I've never seen a fucking kangaroo. Well, other than at zoos.
Right.
There's no dragon zoo.
That we know of.
I think the way dragons act, it would be tough. Just saying.
Difficult.
Jurassic Park is what I'm thinking it would be.
Dane is trying to translate for them poorly.
He's doing a decent job. He's trying.
And Aaric's just standing over there listening to his broken, just confirming or correcting him. No, he's just standing over there listening to how broken it is and probably getting joy out of it.
Oh, I think he's just like, well, you fuckers didn't ask me. This is how my stepdad is. My stepdad speaks so many languages. And we had no idea. He was married to my mom for years. I brought this girl home who was a Russian foreign exchange student, and she was talking with one of her Russian friends on her phone while we're going somewhere. And she says something, and my stepdad just looks in the mirror and starts talking to her in Russian, and she about shit her pants. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then she comes at me. She's like, you didn't tell me you spoke Russian. I'm like, I didn't know he spoke Russian. It never came up. So I asked him later on, I'm like, you speak Russian? He's like, yeah, I speak a little Russian. I'm like, why didn't you say something? He's like, you didn't ask. Same thing happened. We were reading the pack of labels from shit my grandparents brought back from Mexico. And we're all sitting there trying to guess what all these things are because we didn't speak Spanish. We weren't cultured. And pretty soon, I'm like, well, what do you think? And he's like, oh, it says this. And da-da-da-da-da. And he rattles it off in Spanish. And he's like, it means this. I'm like, you speak Spanish? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you didn't feel the need to bring this up? He's like, man, nobody asked. So I have asked him since. I'm like, how many languages do you speak? And he's like, English. He's like, and then I dabble a little bit in like, what was it? Spanish, Russian, Arabic. I can't remember what the other ones were now. But there's like 5 of them. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's a secret agent.
And he's never said no, he's not. He's never been a spy.
He just laughs. He laughs when I accuse him of being a spy. But the dude flies fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft, was a sniper and an explosives expert, and then speaks all these languages. He's a goddamn spy.
He's a spy. And there's a section of his history that your mom's not allowed to know or discuss or see those papers.
Right.
He's a spy.
Whose DD-214 is that redacted? Fucking ridiculous.
But back to this. There's some law about challenging. They already know some of these things because of her dad. Kumite. I don't understand this reference. You had me write it down too.
Bloodsport.
Well, how does Bloodsport work?
It's like the greatest Jean-Claude Van Damme action movie ever.
Just hearing his name makes me think that it's not that great.
Well, do me a favor. Google Bloodsport.
Is this the man that does the splits everywhere?
Oh, okay, I assume he also has other great traits. Yeah, he does. He's a very flexible gymnast / jiu-jitsu martial artist.
Didn't he have a viral video of him doing the splits between vehicles and just cuts to...
Oh, for Volvo. The Volvo semis. He did do that in a commercial. He's also done it with shopping carts. He does it with all kinds of things. Yeah. Okay, you're going to find this hard to believe, but he's actually a badass dude.
All right, what are we looking up?
Bloodsport. And that is literally what a kumite is, I believe, is a blood sport.
8 days ago, there's a trailer for Bloodsport 5 2025.
First of all, I didn't know there were even 2. I saw the first one. Are you looking at the trailer for 5?
Yeah. You want to watch it?
Yeah. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme. There he is again. Gosh, he's cool. No, look at the first trailer.
This is fake.
It must be, because who the fuck would cast Steven Seagal in a movie?
That was 90% AI. So we just watched the trailer of the 1988 classic film. The cinema experience that is. This
Bloodsport
looks like a crime and problematic.
What do you mean?
White man travels to go fight in this thing, and he ends up being the winner?
Yeah. You gotta watch the movie.
I think we did a while ago.
No. I tried to get you to watch this with me for the last 15 years, and you've said no every time I've tried.
It looks problematic.
It is. But it also describes the moment they're having in this book so perfectly.
Do they also have to, draw blood before they begin the fight?
No.
Oh.
No. I think I can find you one.
It's just the best, your best, and this, and they compete.
Well, it's a society of warriors that these people come and interject into, in this instance being Jean-Claude Van Damme. And they fight, and they're all like deathmatch type shit. It's amazing. And one of the people who he fights, I just remember this dude being huge by comparison. And it's kind of that moment where like, oh, fuck, that guy's big.
Yeah, they're like 7 foot tall twins.
Well, so yeah, in this, they are 7 feet tall roughly, because she says there are 3 people there, a woman, 2 twins. The woman is nearly as big and tall as Dane. Dane is roughly 6 feet tall. These men are the same height difference of Violet to Xaden, which is about a foot, which means these men are about 7 feet tall.
Oh, wow. You did the math on that one.
So quick.
I wondered
while I was listening to this actively, I'm like, holy fuck. They remind me of the guy that's in The Longest Yard and Get Smart, and he always played the big, lumbering, I go see my wife now. You know what I'm talking about? It starts with a K. What is his name? I think he died a few years ago, which is really
I know
sad,
who you're talking about.
but he's just a monster.
Is it Dalip Sign?
Let me see. Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking of. Dalip, I believe, right? Dajip. I don't know how you say his name, but he is huge.
And then you have 2 of those in this.
How big was that guy? When you hit it on Google, I bet that guy was 7 feet tall. And a unit.
7'1", 347 pounds.
Yeah, of solid steel and craziness. That dude's vocal cords were like 4 feet long and barely wiggled when he talked. That dude spoke in brown note.
I really like imagining him for this next fight scene.
That's all that was in my head. It was just 2 of him. And then I think Gina Carino for the woman. The Mandalorian lady.
Oh, yeah.
That's who I'm casting.
Okay.
Maybe not actively, but, you know, people like those people.
I think that fits. But as they're flying into this location as they're flying into this town, there is a moment where Taryn is really low while flying, and she cannot talk with Taryn. And I had a panic of like, oh my God, she can't talk to Taryn now. And then I have, never mind, he was just ignoring her.
Correctly so. Because she's like, oh no, he's going to destroy this place. He's going to crash. Why would you assume he's going to crash?
I think he likes showing off and scaring him.
Correct. And why not give him his moment? Like, he's not allowed to light the place up.
He likes to hear the people scream when he shows up.
Yeah, he does.
So they enter some type of palace. I related this a lot to Witcher, where you go in through a moat and a bridge. And you go into this like secondary city within a city that's blocked off.
Yeah, I took this more as cities from, let's say like Rome, where you had the inner city and then the outer city. But you had city walls kind of surrounding the capital. People lived outside of those walls, and then fancier people got to live within those walls.
Exactly. Because there are no silver hair people except within this new little section that they're at. And every single person has this.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one little girl who has the partial, where it's just her ends.
Just the ends are silver like Violet. She saw a little Violet.
And that's what chapter 31 is, what we're just talking about now. The captain is demoted for bringing them. Oh, he wasn't killed. He was demoted. I think they cut off his like sash or something like that.
His patch.
They're like,
fuck him.
We don't need to know what was said to know what happened. Oh, so they have to pick out 2 warriors in order to meet with the queen. We learn that Aaric is fluent. Taryn doesn't want the Dark One to do the fight.
No, that's not what he said.
What did he say?
Violet's concerned about Xaden, and he says, do not concern yourself with the Dark One.
Oh.
I took that to mean, don't fucking worry about him.
I thought it was, I don't think the Dark One should be out there fighting.
Could go either way. We'll find out.
We see the opponents get cut before they're fighting. This is your note.
Kumate.
Yes.
Kumate. Kumate.
The stones are gray. So maybe the magic has already been drawn, or maybe they pulled the stones from different locations. There's an old woman with a forehead tattoo. She's 75 years old.
She's a priestess. She's not just an old woman.
And then she, surprise, makes Dane join.
And surprise, makes Violet join.
These old ladies are really into the drama.
Yeah, they are.
Because she's like, pick somebody, we pick Xaden. She does this formal, this is what we do. Dane's just in his flight leather standing there, and she's just like, gotcha. Surprise, you're in on the fight.
Bloodsport.
Yeah, and then she's having this discussion with Violet, and it's just like, surprise, now you're joining.
But she goes through and addresses everybody in the group. I think it was really cool. It wasn't just some nonsensical thing. There was a rationale for who was there and why.
But not in this oracle style, because all she says to Violet is, you're weak, and then moves on.
No, she says, you're weak, you're the weakest, more or less in frailty. She's going through and assessing everybody, but the rationale for why she chooses the people she does are great.
But she chose Violet to work against Xaden.
No, she chose Violet because from how their culture operates, this is meant to be a proving ground. Some of the best things you can learn from your opponent in the ring come from not just their strengths, but their weaknesses, or what is seen to be a weakness.
Oh.
She's giving Violet this because, or she put Violet in this situation because she's like, we learn more from people than just what they want to present, I think is the idea.
Oh, that's way more insightful than I got. I thought it was, look at that handsome, ripped man down there. He might win. Let's throw her
She's
in.
not looking at any of the dudes Violet brought and thinking they're so ripped by comparison, because even Violet looks at these monstrous dudes. She's like, they're 7 feet tall and their arms are fucking huge.
I think she even insults Xaden a little bit.
I don't think she insulted him. I think she's like, Xaden, please tell me you saw the size of these dudes, because she's used to Xaden being the top dog, right? So far, Xaden has been the biggest, handsomest, most buff dude we've ever met.
If you said this to tairn.
Look at the size of that dragon. tairn kind of said it to her when she started talking to Coda in the last book. tairn's like, hold the fuck up. You picked the one goddamn dragon that's bigger than me? And that's basically what just happened with Xaden. Is she's like, are you sure this is gonna be okay? Because they are enormous. Xaden is the coldest motherfucker. I love, he's like, oh yeah, I saw him. They're fucking huge. Garrick's gonna wish he saw me do this. Like, it was, I had a moment where I'm like, that's exactly what I would say in that moment. Even if I was about to get my ass kicked, it's like on the off chance that I win, this is gonna come off so cool.
And the old lady has this conversation with Violet of...
Why do we just keep calling her the old lady? She's the priestess.
Okay, the old priestess.
No, she's just a priestess. We don't have to describe her by age. Come on, Adri, don't be this way.
The priestess.
Yeah, throw some spec on that.
The priestess starts talking to Violet and asks who chose your path. Violet starts to say her mom, but then she reflects and she acknowledges, me, I chose this path.
And that's why she got chosen.
Then the woman adds, it's a good thing we did not complete your dedication, and mentions something about yearning for the temple. And it's almost like she's surprised that Violet isn't being drawn to the temple right now.
Yeah, there's some power to it. Look at the size of people this place is growing.
I look forward to seeing how this fight goes, because I think this temple is going to play a part of it.
Oh, I 100% think so too. We're going to learn a lot.
What if she fulfills like the rest of her dedication during this fight and she just becomes a full silver-haired in front of everyone?
I don't think so.
Oh.
No.
You're probably right.
I refuse to believe that she goes full silver in this bad boy. Transform, she goes Super Saiyan? Is that what you're saying?
Well, rather than drawing from the source, she draws from the temple or something.
I think this is obviously a theory that is going to immediately be disproven. I wonder if they don't get in this fight. They're having some struggles, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And at some point, Violet mentions T. And they're like, whoa, hold the phone. The fuck are you talking about? And then Violet like, the lady who's also a part of your group is Venin. And they'd be like, oh, we've heard tales of the ancient priestess.
You were kind of wondering if she was her own...
Venin entity.
Yeah, she's not really with the Venin.
She's a subsect.
Yeah. And after getting to see an entire culture of people where this woman came from. But then Violet even reflects on the age of Theophany because of the wear on her tattoo. How long has she been here?
Yeah, because she's like, this woman has got to be in her 70s, and her tat looks pristine. How fucking old is T? And then I'm like, how fucking old is T? But we assumed she was a couple 100 years old.
I don't know what I assume. I'm assuming since the beginning of maybe she's the reason the first 6 bonded with dragons.
There were 7. Maybe she was the 7th.
Maybe 6 people who bonded 7 dragons.
Maybe 7 people, 7 dragons. Her dragon dies. She draws from the source to stay alive after her dragon dies. And that's how we got T.
Oh my god, maybe Sigale dies.
No. I was paralleling. No.
Right.
I don't like what you've just done. Stop. Please quit. I can't reason my way out of it fast enough.
You put Sigale.
No.
It went tairn, andarna, Sigale, Devera?
Yeah. Ridoc.
DNFing the book?
Yeah, Ridoc.
Xaden wasn't on the list. Is he moving up on the list yet? No.
He's a good dude, but he's not book changing for me.
If Xaden were to die, which he obviously isn't.
Yeah.
Clearly. But if he were, I don't think I would DNF the book. I think I would just be crying and heartbroken the entire time. And
that's how I felt about Liam.
You would be thriving the entire time.
Not thriving. I'm not going to be happy that he's dead. I wouldn't celebrate it, but it wouldn't be as big of a loss as Liam was.
What?
Yeah, Xaden's good. He's not perfect like Liam. Do you think Dane is as good as Xaden?
Something that we who?
Do you think Dane is as good as Xaden?
No.
No. Why? Because Dane fucked up in the first book. Xaden fucked up for 2 books to me.
Something that we haven't discussed much is my love for Xaden.
We haven't discussed it much?
Not enough.
Okay.
From the time that we ended our chapters to the time that we sat down here, his devotion, his love and loyalty to her is so attractive.
Great. I agree.
And you don't get any sense of he needs to stay?
No, I would like him to stay. If he dies, I'm going to be bummed.
Like, part of looking forward to this next fight for me isn't the action, but how he's going to express his love and loyalty to Violet.
Oh, yeah, no, not for me.
What do you look forward to?
The action. That's what I'm there for. If it wasn't about the action, I wouldn't give a fuck about the people being 7 foot tall and 400 pounds of solid muscle. Yeah, it's going to be fucking cool. And I think Xaden is uber badass. Xaden's love and devotion for Violet is something that I think I'm seeing through a different lens than you are. It is not shocking to me in any way. I think that's just the way that you're supposed to love people. He is meeting an expectation. He is not exceeding it for me. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying, but part of what drew me to you was the same level of love, devotion, dedication.
I'm not suggesting that you're wrong for feeling the way you're feeling. I'm saying I don't feel as though I exceed an expectation. I feel as though I meet it. And I don't feel as though Xaden is exceeding an expectation. I feel as though he's meeting that.
I don't think Sawyer would be this devoted to Jacinia.
See, it in my head, I think he is. I think we're just not focused on Sawyer. I think Sawyer would, anybody that loves their person would burn the rest of the world down just to prevent their partner from being cold.
True. I guess I was really falling for this love story between Sawyer and Jacinia. He got dressed up. It's cute. It's adorable. I love it. And then Xaden is just like, I will murder for you. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Sawyer. That was adorable. You got a haircut, but this is where I'm at.
And I'm not disagreeing. I think both things are valid. I think Sawyer is equally dedicated. I just don't believe it's being tested currently. Xaden is passing tests of dedication, and I think that is very valid. And I like Xaden a lot.
I think that's a nice way to put it. Nobody is testing their dedication and devotion because no one is putting their life at risk like Violet is.
Violet makes terrible decisions often, and Xaden is there to help her pick up those pieces. And sometimes Xaden is not doing it in a calm, cool, collected way. He's doing it in an angry, sexy way. Xaden has an advantage of also having no consequences. I want to point that out as well. Many of Xaden's actions that he's taken, if he was not the Duke of Tyrandor, would not have been acceptable. And if not for Violet advocating for him as well.
I do think he's having consequences, but to his soul only.
You know, this is a fair point. The consequence of what he did with the king in, I can't remember the name of that town, but where they were in with the cat.
Deverelli.
Thank you. The consequences of his actions while they were in Deverelli is really prominent and very valid. But the consequence wasn't that Violet's quitting on him.
Violet setting the boundary of you continuing to draw from the source, you lose me. Not her saying, I'm going to leave you, but overall, you will lose Violet by doing this.
Here's the question. Is it more romantic? Because I considered this too. I was fortunate in the fact of I got my ass kicked a lot. Never over something important. I'm not a tough guy. I happen to be tougher than the people that I had issues with in the moments that it was important to me. Would it have more negatively impacted you or more positively impacted you if I had gone to handle one of those people and instead got my ass handed to me? Because Xaden right now has this thing of anytime she is in trouble, he's there and he does provide safety. There is nobody that is more motivated to accomplish a goal than the man defending the person that he loves. The person defending the person they love. It could be a woman. It doesn't matter. I want to make that very clear.
Yeah, I guess when I even saw this last scene, it was going to be both of them being badasses, just taking them out left and right, working together as a team, throwing knives to each other. And then it became so overwhelming. The stakes were higher and he was pushed to draw magic in a space that I didn't know he could. And here we are, we're in the same scenario. They're in a space where I didn't think you could draw magic from. What's going to happen?
Yeah, and that's super exciting. But if Violet wasn't brought into this, let's say it was just one-on-one, Big Twin versus Xaden, and Xaden's getting his ass kicked, is it still romantic to you that he's willing to do this? Or is it less romantic to you because he's doing it ineffectively?
Him doing it ineffectively is not a problem. I don't know what to think.
Because I like Xaden.
Because Xaden's always going to win. It's just a matter of how.
Here's the question. Will Xaden always win?
I don't know.
Do you have the same confidence in Violet?
Yes.
Or do you believe in Violet's supporting characters more so?
Oh, yeah. I think that she always has backup in some way.
If Xaden hadn't been with her in the room with the king, with the cats, would Violet have still made it through that situation? Do you think?
Yes, because of tairn.
Okay, and we're going to give tairn some credit, but who was the one who actually showed up there and made all the difference in the world?
Andarna.
Right? I don't know. Also, if she didn't have them, how capable is Violet? Incredibly capable. She's flicking daggers and nailing everybody in all the important areas. She's amazing.
Do they have to go out there without anything on? Because I think Xaden took off everything but some shorts.
Well, he left his pants on. He took his jacket off. So he's in a training shirt, basically a tight fit shirt, and his bandolier of knives or whatever.
He does keep those. I thought he took those off.
He took them off so that he could take his jacket off.
Oh, okay.
And it's so that they couldn't grab his jacket, is the idea.
That makes sense.
So Violet should put her hair up, throw on her pasties.
Violet's going out, though, with daggers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Well, what did this chapter end with? Chapter 31 ended with the old lady having the conversation, surprised that she's not yearning for the temple, so she must favor it.
For the mines.
Yeah. Violet says, oh, so the woman thinks she must be favoring another. And she says, I favor him. And she doesn't clarify Xaden or tairn, and she leaves it open-ended for that reason.
Purposefully, she leaves it open-ended because she goes, either way you go, you're fine.
Yep.
She isn't choosing between Xaden and tairn, which I think is such a powerful moment because you kind of forget, she's so devoted to Xaden. Xaden and her are this interlinked romantic love. What she has for tairn is this love that is so heavy with respect. I don't know. I think the love she has for tairn is so beautiful.
It also made me think of tairn would do the same things as Xaden. He would kill for Violet. And
tairn has killed lots for Violet.
Yes.
And tairn would give himself up for Violet.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Xaden's doing.
And when he disses Xaden of like the dark one or this and this, I'm taking it as dismissive. And he's like, I don't see. It feels like tairn doesn't know what Violet sees in Xaden. And she's like, well, I want my own version of you.
She wants her army of shadowmen. Are you a dark dude in need of a silver lady? Don't worry, Violet's got you covered. I kind of see where tairn's coming from because tairn is not just seeing it from the aspect that Xaden is. Xaden sees the aspect of, I protected Violet. tairn feels what it cost Violet when he does that as well.
I was seeing tairn almost in this father-daughter scenario.
Yes.
And then to see your daughter choose someone who's like you, but yet keeps hurting her, that's a lot.
I think it's more so, it's not just hurting Violet. It's also hurting his wife.
Yeah.
And for Xaden to be primarily focused on just Violet's survival rather than her health, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes into being an issue with tairn. And I don't think Xaden's wrong for doing it, but I also don't think that tairn's wrong for his opinion on it. I don't believe there's right and wrong. They both exist in this gray area. And again, Xaden in this book, god damn, he's cool. I get where you've got your lady boner just erected for the guy. Like, it makes some sense to me. Lots of sense to me. I don't have it, but it makes sense more in this book than it has the others. Because I liked Xaden in the other books. He was badass and, whatever he was. But I could never get the idea of him being everybody's favorite shadow daddy.
One of your biggest complaints with Xaden was he was too perfect.
But he kept secrets. He was perceived as being perfect.
Correct.
Yes.
And now he has flaws, and you see him hurting from these flaws.
They're acknowledged. Again, I want to point out, I have always been hyper aware of Xaden's flaws. Xaden has had lots of flaws that were ignored by the book. And now they're being presented in such a real way. But it's not just other people observing Xaden's flaws. It's Xaden acknowledging his flaws and actually putting in effort to do whatever he can for solving it. Because the issue with Iron Flame Xaden is he's hyper aware of his flaws, which he wasn't in the first book. A bit of an improvement. Other than he didn't do what he needed to do to address the issues. The dishonesty really pissed me off with Xaden. In this book, we have honest Xaden, and it has fixed what I disliked about Xaden.
That makes sense. What do you think's going to happen in the fight scene? What do you predict? How do you want it to go?
I'm all over the place, man. I'm just happy to be there. Honestly, I don't care how it goes. I think Xaden's going to show off some really cool moves. I think these dudes are going to be really tough for them to deal with on a physical level. I think it's going to involve a lot more Dane working closely with Xaden.
Oh, I forgot all about Dane. Those two kind of teaming up here.
I think there's going to be a moment of appreciation because we all forget Dane is almost as good as Xaden on the mat. And if Xaden doesn't have his intrinsic powers and all that, that gap may be closed.
That's right. There was one comment Violet made, I think in Fourth Wing, that Dane is almost as good as Xaden on the mat.
Yeah, like Xaden's the only person there that was better than Dane. And Dane is obviously had more time to develop now, and his signet also doesn't help him in fights. Dane has been raw dogging the whole fisticuff situation since day one. And Dane is somebody that has had to fight to get to where he felt like he had earned the respect that he wanted. I don't know. I like Dane.
This would be awesome for them to have a bonding moment.
I don't even think it's going to be bonding.
Just respect?
I think there will be an acknowledgement of it, and I think it may even help Dane in a weird way. Because I think you're going to have Dane and Xaden that are going to have to really commingle and work well together. Then you're going to have Violet, who's going to create the bit of a pivot between the two, because they're both comfortable working with Violet. Violet's going to have to trust that Dane is capable.
I also wonder if there's going to be a moment, because Xaden is so protective of Violet, that Dane will step up in the actual goal of why they're all down in there, and he's going to trust Xaden to take care of Violet.
Here's my question. Do you think that Dane prioritizes anything in the world over Violet right now?
No.
Nope. They have a common positive thing going on. The only big difference is Dane fucked up once and did not, not just once, but you know what I'm saying. At one time, Dane was trusting his dad, which would be the naturally occurring event, I think, and he lost the trust, but he has since done nothing but prioritize Violet.
True.
There is a leak of information happening. There's no way the back corner of Violet's mind isn't questioning Dane on that.
Wait, what?
So we get this presented to us as Dane has just built up all of his good faith. Violet is still a little wishy-washy on Dane and how much she trusts him, right? She's brought up twice now. How did they know this? How does somebody know this information for what we're going to do? Blah, 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 blah. She's going to probably assume that that's Dane. And I think that's going to cause a wedge. After this fight, we're going to get some good feelings about everybody. And there's going to be a wedge somewhere. And that either happens because Dane protects Violet in the spot where Xaden was unable to. And then Xaden's incredibly jealous and upset. Or it'll be, hey, how the fuck do these people all know what we're doing all the time? Atos, you were Valik last time. You're probably Valik this time.
Oh, but who do you think the leak is?
I have no idea. I refuse to believe it's Imogen, even though that's where my mind keeps going.
Imogen's not even there right now.
No, but Imogen has all the details of all the information.
Right.
The other thing I keep thinking is Bodhi, because Bodhi is the second most trusted person by Xaden.
I don't think it's Bodhi.
I also don't think it. That's why I'm saying I can't believe it's anybody.
That's
I don't believe it's aaric.
That's why I thought it was Xaden accidentally doing it.
Potentially, but it's not only the Venin that are aware of what's going on, right?
Who else?
I think they're also concerned that, like, I guess it is the Venin. The Venin are the ones that are primarily aware of all their stuff.
I think so.
All right. It's specifically T, I might add. Why does aaric speak the same tongue?
Because he studied harder than Dane.
I'm just pointing out that our Venin lady is from this specific place. Nobody else speaks the language. She's getting the information. Oh, what if it's aaric?
I don't think so. I trust him.
All right. Me too. I trust them all, actually. I don't, but this is why I'd get screwed over. So I'm not a protagonist in this book. I'm actually like infantryman number 3. Just watching it all happen. I'm like, yep, they're doing treason again. We shouldn't tell anybody about this. It normally turns out okay, other than most of us died last time.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie.
It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow.Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.